Welcome to Coach in a Car. I've been seeing a therapist because of an incident that happened at work. She wants to go back into my trauma history to be able to unpack all that. And I've done a lot of work for the last probably decade. There's always more healing modalities out there. So I'm very open to doing this because I want to make sure that I am living a really awesome life, the best one I could possibly have with a lot of joy in my life. And for me, that's like mind, body, soul. And I've been doing a lot of work on all these things over the last years, and this thing happened, and it's nothing I asked for. It just happened. It's bringing up more triggers for me. So I got this opportunity, so I'm going to take it. And one of the things we talked about was when my brother died. He was hit by a car. He went into a coma, and then he died on his 9th birthday. I was the oldest. I just turned 11. And my sister was the youngest. She was 7. What do you think of your sister? And I was like, oh, she was so cute. And he goes, oh, so there was never any like issues with you? And I said, not really. Like, I always felt like I was more of a caregiver to her. And she was just like Smelly Ellie. She was just like really cute. She was a little scutch. That's what we called her. Or Ellie Bean. She was just really cute. She was really pretty. She had green eyes, blonde hair, and she used to dance. And I taught her gymnastics. So she would always like flip on this bar that we had. So my therapist said, so what happened? And I said, well, I remember going up to her and I can only remember like one fight that I've ever had with her. And that she said, Seaton's coming back. And I was like, no, Seaton's dead. And she's like, no, he's not. He's just faking it. And I remember getting really pissed off at her and telling my mom. And my mom's like, well, she's only 6. She doesn't really understand yet. But I remember feeling so frustrated with her. And I felt bad for her. But I just remember she just kept on doing these flips all day. And I think, I said, and it just annoyed me that she wouldn't like play. She just was doing these flips. So my therapist said, there's actually psychological benefits of this, mood enhancement and stress reduction. So as we're doing flips or inversions, which I thought it was so amazing how the body can move to help the mind and the emotions, that when we're doing some type of inversions, like in yoga, like in gymnastics, we're increasing the blood flow to the brain. And that releases endorphins. And during these inversions, you can actually have a positive effect on the mood. And it may reduce stress and anxiety. That can also activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and that actually promotes relaxation. It's so cool to learn these things. As I'm bringing in yoga to the practice, I used to be a former gymnast. It made so much sense once I learned this, because after my parents died, I was a gymnast. I was a competitive gymnast. And I would go to gym 3 to 4 times a week, 3 or 4 hours. And I love gym. Like, I will talk about this all the time. But I remember when I was 16, I grew boobs and I couldn't really compete anymore. And I was also not doing so great in my math. I remember it was cold turkey stopping gymnastics cold turkey. And I got real depressed. It made so much sense for me when I learned that doing inversions or flips or anything helped my sister cope with the death of my brother. But then also from 11 years old, from when I lost my family through 16 years old, I guess I was coping with it pretty well because I had gymnastics as an outlet, and all those flips and inversions that I was doing was actually calming my parasympathetic nervous system. And then when I stopped cold turkey, like, everything went haywire. And literally, like, that's just really interesting to me. I'm going to start doing more cartwheels in my backyard. What do you think about inversions and how that helps activate your parasympathetic nervous system, and how that can help you deal with stress in your life and to have a better mind, body, soul connection? I don't know. I think it's amazing to learn this. Keep blooming.